We are back with the final episode of the Fantastic Four, wearing their marathon t-shirts. Cliona, thank you for wearing the Any Given Run Day t-shirt. The medals are out, the happy faces compared to the last couple of weeks with the anxiousness. Eve is very happy with her medal. I do want to go through, obviously, the entire weekend. I do want to go through the 4 years meeting together for the first time at the expo. But health and safety first before we start, and just to make sure everyone's okay and stuff after yesterday. And I never thought I'd say this, but Shane, how's your nipples?
Oh, not good, not good. Yeah, bit of a rookie mistake not bringing the plasters, but yeah, and especially on the white singlets, it didn't look great.
Oh, for those who didn't see the picture, it is just two red blood streams coming all the way down. It looked horrific. That I would have pulled out. Fair play.
Oh, it
Keep
was
on
horrible.
going.
Oh my God.
Was it as painful as it looked?
Oh, I actually didn't feel it at all, to be honest. So I'm kind of running and I looked down and Jesus, didn't look great now, but yeah. Uh, no one said it to me. Actually, someone DM me on Instagram later saying they were shouting at me. I was running up the road and they were shouting at me they had plasters, but just I never heard them. I don't know.
You're just in the zone.
It's a bit late at that stage, I think. Yeah.
I suppose a slightly, I'm not going to say better picture, because it looked badass, Shane. You're running there with the blood coming down and nothing was stopping you. But a different picture would have been the four of you meeting up together for the expo. Aoife, how did that go?
Yeah, it was great. Now, the expo was a different experience this year than previously. It was very tight. There was long queues outside. So myself and Shane had met up on inside, and Cliona and Connor were outside. So we were trying to figure out. I spent an awful lot of money inside waiting for them to get in, and eventually said, I need to get out of here and we're going to meet up outside in the queue. But things were moving along quickly enough in the queue. So Cliona came on us, and then we could see Connor with his cup of cardio hoodie on a few minutes back in the queue. So we got the picture at the car, and yeah, it was lovely. We all hugged each other and wished each other luck, and yeah, it was a great experience to kick off the weekend.
You weren't trying new gels or new kit for the morning after, Aoife, were you, for the marathon, getting all the stuff in the expeditions?
No, just building up my stockpile at home. Nothing new on race day.
Already thinking about the next one. And Cliona, how did you get on Saturday with the build up towards your first marathon? How was the nerves 24, 48 hours in, coming back from your injury and everything else? How were you feeling leading up to the first marathon?
I suppose things went a bit haywire in my house in the last couple of weeks with I had 3-4 family members in hospitals for different things over the last couple of weeks. So that has just taken over everything. So I think in one way I'm kind of lucky because the marathon got parked because all life got in the way. And I'm sure that's the same like for so many people. And in one way I think while it was quite stressful at the time, it was probably a bit of a blessing in disguise because I didn't have to, like, the marathon was so far down the list of things that needed to be managed. But once I met my dad lives in Carlow, so him and his dad and his wife Rachel came up and took the kids off me in the Liffey Valley. So once I got to the Liffey Valley and handed them off, I came across then, I was staying in the schoolhouse in Balbriggan there. So I parked there and walked to the RDS, and that's when I could start to get excited. You start to see the signs on the road. I ended up at the 11-mile mark at one point. Is it along Sarsfields Road? I came along that way, and you're seeing the markers, and that was pretty cool. It is exciting at that point. So I was starting to get nervous, and then kind of realizing that Shane and Aoife had put down a good hour and a half, I'd say, waiting for myself and Connor to get there, strolling along happy out with our late arrival. But yeah, it was cool. It was really nice, and flew around the expo though. It's a bit overwhelming, isn't it?
A lot was going on that day. I was in that more like, right, just get the number, deal with everything else afterwards. I've had that weird feeling in the expos and stuff. I can't just relax in them because I'm just like, number the next day, carb load, and I'm not eating enough. She was feeding me food all day because I don't think. So Jenny would have made a set of half. Like, she was like, sandwiches, food there now. They're still in the fridge. There's still half a pasta baked there. So I was all over the shop. Connor, hopefully you did a little bit better in the last 24 hours leading up to the big day.
Yeah, the 24 hours prior to it was all right, but lads, the week beforehand, I was having nightmares about the marathon.
Oh, wow. Well, you seemed all cool and relaxed, and High Rocks was coming and all the rest, and all of a sudden nightmares are coming. What
never liked me. Like, usually I'm calm, whatever, like, doesn't get to me, but I'd say it was probably stemming from the fact I had like roughly about an 8-week training block, and there was sort of an injury lingering. So, like, you're going in because you've never it's the unknown of that distance. But this time it was like the unknown. I know the distance, but I've never done the distance with such little training or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember waking up Tuesday night. I was like in a sweat. I was like, oh my God, this is fucking horrible. So
I really, really
as the
hope
week,
I featured in that dream and you were just thinking about me slagging you for not finishing.
you were chasing me in it, yeah. Yeah,
With
no, then
Vaseline.
I feel like,
With Vaseline.
yeah,
I'm coming with
yeah,
it. Just for your eyebrows. Come here, Connor.
yeah, like, so this time, I don't know, I think I probably immersed myself too much into like thinking about it, you know, the kind of way, especially the week leading up. Uh, I won't say your podcast helped on the Wednesday night. I watched that Thursday
Definitely not.
morning in work, and I was like, I need to turn this off, but I was like, it's too good to turn off. I need the tips. Like it's stressing me out. So I was like, no, I have to watch this. And then when I watched it, I was like, right, that's me done. I'm done consuming anything to do with the marathon. It's like I'm gonna do it. Whatever happens, happens. But yeah, then obviously the day before, or whatever, like clean out into the expo, straight out the expo. Was none of that crack for me. Like it's just waste of time in my opinion. Like it was just too crowded, too moving along. As you said as well, Sean, like you're worrying about I need to be eating, don't need to be on my feet all this time. And I had another long walk to get back to where I was staying as well in Dublin. So yeah, I was just shot out of the expo straight away.
And then next morning, I suppose, big day. Shane jumping into wave one to start, going for the sub 3. How would you find the walk through, getting the bag drops and all the rest going towards starting line?
Yeah, the bag drop was a bit stressful to be honest, because the bag drop was meant to open at 7:15 and it didn't open until 8:10. So
Oh wow!
everyone was waiting outside and it was a bit crazy, yeah. So like when it opened at 8:10, like it was just a big storm of people going in, so it's a bit stressful to leave the bag in, yeah.
And was everyone the same?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, Jesus, it's like, I don't know, must have been like 2,000 or 3,000 people waiting outside the backdrop area. It was crazy.
the
I don't
same,
know why
Aoife
it
the
would
same.
open so late.
Connor, same issues.
Yeah, I was actually standing sort of in that group, but from Barcelona, like I didn't bother with the bag drop because of like Barcelona. Obviously, the finish line was far away, so they sort of bagged everything up and shipped it along. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's what they did anyway. But I wasn't sure what they were doing this time, so my girlfriend, she was at it anyways. She just carried the bag, so I didn't have to worry about any of that. Takes a little bit of stress away from it.
I was the same.
I was lucky enough to have Shane's mammy volunteering at my bag drop spot. So it worked out
Oh, wow.
fabulously for me. I got big hugs, I got all the cheers and support, and easy peasy.
Brilliant.
Good thing you didn't say anything bad about Rifa. The circles are closing in on you. Now
I
you've been on the podcast.
I'd met her at the expo the day before, so I knew her and she knew me, so it was lovely.
Very good. Kleena, for a first timer coming to the marathon, you probably didn't notice that things probably weren't going as normally as they were. What was it like for you?
Yeah, so when I think Shane was probably at the bag drop before me. And I think they might have left us in waves, because when I got to the bag drop, there was still a big crowd at the bag drop. But I had seen Shane's Instagram post before I left my hotel. And by the time I got I was only a couple of minutes away. By the time I got there, there was still a queue. So I'm presuming they let people in and then held it up again. I'm not really sure, but it just seemed like there wasn't as many people. Maybe it couldn't have been as long as Shane had been there, because it wasn't deep enough at that point. So they let us all in, and you're moving through. I haven't a clue what I'm doing. I'm looking at Portaloos and I'm trying to remember that don't go to the early ones, go to the late ones, follow the advice of the lads. So yeah, once you get to the bag drop, it was pretty easy. But yeah, the queues for the Portaloos, I hung on for the third set of Portaloos that weren't there. So I had to backtrack and go back to the Portaloos and join the queue that I had walked past. But it moves.
I'm going to get
It's
this
all
out of the
fine.
way early, because this is the only thing I did right that day. I came in through the canal and I came through this lane, and all of a sudden I found myself in the middle of like where the blue wave starts. And this was at 10:08 and no one was there. I'm like, there's like when I tried to use one of the Euros, like this actually hasn't even been used yet. I was like, am I got this right? I'm in the right spot and stuff. And the guy just down there, orange wave, just went through the barricade. Your aunt's like, "Where are you off to?" I'm like, "Down that way." And I got to the start line with 35 minutes to go. I was like, "Huh? This is it. This is no. I'm normally like 35 minutes. I'm not even in anywhere near bag drop because I ain't got a bag to drop." I'm like, "This is going well." That's the last time I said that day, but it was going well.
This is gonna be great.
Right. I was like, it's a new me. This is phenomenal. I forgot I had done no training for it, but it felt great. Shane, you were in wave 1, were you?
Was in wave 1, yeah.
Oh, you never said hi. You passed me out at the very start. But apart from that, how you said the nerves and stuff, the start line as it took off.
Yeah, I was actually pretty calm. I slept really well the night before. I think it's the best I've ever slept for a marathon, and I was actually calm enough on the start line. But yeah, it was Jesus, a bit chaos starting off as well. It's very messy. So I went out behind the 3 hour pacers, and like we went through the first kilometer in 4:37. That's quite a bit off, like sub 3 pace. So they were kind of chasing their tails from the first kilometer, trying to pass people out, and like I tried my best to just keep back from them. And then the first water station came, and just I nearly got cleaned out at the first water station. Just people were going crazy. I was in all. People were getting clipped to left, right, and center, and it was mental, man.
It is one of the things we did say and given advice even in our pacer episodes is when you're in that group of the pacers, it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it's great to be with the group, but it can bring trouble if you're not aware of what it will bring, or you've never ran as part of that group before, particularly at water stations. If you've ever gone for a drive with Sean, you know, those last minute exits without the indicators, that's kind of what happens. Right, so Shane, talk us through Stony Batter. As you come up, you take the turn. The street narrows. It gets very narrow. There's very large dustbins out. There's cars still parked on the road. What was it like as part of because, you know, you're moving at a decent speed, 4:30, 4:20 in and around, depending on what it was through the 2nd K or 3rd K into the 5K mark. How was it when the streets narrowed?
Yes, originally the plan was to run off the pacers, like say, like maybe 50 or 60 meters back, and didn't feel great in the first 10 kilometers, to be honest. I didn't feel like really that I got into my running until we got into the Phoenix Park for the second time. And then I kind of latched on to the back of the pace group again. I started to feel okay. Well, I was kind of playing a bit of cat and mouse. The pacers like pull away from me, and then I catch up with the pacers again, and they pull away from me again. And so yeah, then eventually I got through to halfway in 1:29:50. So I was 10 seconds up at halfway. But the way I was feeling, like it didn't really feel like I had another gear in me, to be honest, or another couple of gears. So I said to myself, I didn't think a negative split was in the bag, to be honest, at halfway. So it's about nearly trying to just hang on to the pace group for dear life. And yeah, eventually getting towards the 30K mark, I started to work extremely hard and hold off the back of the pace group and just watch the pace group run away.
And did you think at the time, Shane, and obviously going off the advice of your coach, was there anything at that stage you could have done in terms of another bit of fuel to make yourself feel better, you know, or was it just a mental fight now because it just, and as can be, and it's the thing about a marathon, everyone will always show you, and in fairness, you were quite honest on social media. Everyone shows you the smiles and the happiness. No one's willing to talk about the days when it's just not feeling right.
And yeah, I was frustrated because like going through halfway in 1:29:50, like I felt like I should be running that reasonably comfortably, and I just didn't feel right, and I don't know why I didn't feel right. So yeah, I felt like I should be reasonably comfortable at that pace, and I don't think I could have fueled anymore, to be honest. I think I was really well fueled. Like in the days before, I had 700 grams of carbs on the Friday and Saturday, so I was really well fueled. Just from the 30 to 40K mark was an absolute battle. Like you're just fighting demons in your head, and like at one point, like if you stop now, like imagine the abuse you're gonna get off Eric if you don't finish. Crazy. Like.
Yes, I should start charging for that. But that's like car insurance. You're just insuring against something that might happen. You know, like it's great, doomsday scenario. But we'll come back to you about that final 10K, and we'll touch base with a few of the others. Aoife, you had your goal of sub 5. Your first. Did you get carried away at the start? Did you get excited because you were all smiles and, you know, you started running at a 4:30 with Shane, or how did it go?
Yeah, so we came into the wave and we positioned ourselves between 450 and 440. So I had ran a 450 last year. So I was saying, if things feel good, like I knew my training had gone well. So I said, look, if all the stars align, I might get in under 450 this year, get a PB. Like the overall goal was just sub 5. So we lined ourselves up there back from the 440s. And we set off, and like I've talked time and time again here about the 5K repeats that we've been doing. And I knew I was running those 5K repeats in training at like 33-minute 5K. But we do a 33-minute 5K and then we stop, and it's supposed to be a 2-minute stop, but we have a chat and we change our shoes, and like might be stopped for 5 or 6 minutes. So I knew I could run those, like I could do 6 33-minute 5Ks, but I had in my head, but I need a break between them. So my body just went off at that pace because that's what I've trained for. And I just kept going at that pace. And I was like, I couldn't believe it was happening. Like, and I've been saying, trust the process, it'll work. But it worked. And like, I didn't run a marathon. I ran 8 by 5K. And we just knocked every 5K mat we stood on. We were calculating, we're under 33 minutes, we're under 33 minutes. It was just consistent the whole way. So at the start, I didn't get carried away. It was the first 5K was my slowest 5K in the marathon, which is a great thing to be able to say.
Absolutely.
And we only thought about the next 5K. And in between the 5K marks, I was taking a gel. So we were kind of busy the whole time. You've got you're about a kilometre getting the gel into you. And then you've only got another 2K to the next 5K mat. And then 2K, you start taking the next gel. So kind of felt busy. The time went really well. But it was just one of those magical days where all the stars aligned, and like I couldn't believe it. I had no demons to battle like Shane did, which I have done before. It was just like there was hard training put into it, but it was just one of those days where things go right.
Aoife, as you come up the hill, as you come out of the park, you're on the flats into Chapel Lizard, which is kind of like it's actually a really nice flat. And then you come around and you're climbing the hill at Chapel Lizard, and everyone goes underneath the bridges with the yoggies, and you'll be like, yeah, we'll see you in an hour. As you climb that hill and turn to Crumlin, it can tend to put a little bit of manners on people, and those easy-ish first half very soon become I'm only halfway. What was going through your head as you crossed that 20K mark through your 4 to 5K block?
Yeah, I remember going up that hill, and I went, that's the first time it's felt like an effort so far. Like I had been sailing along. But I was like up the top recover, and like anytime I looked at my watch or concerned myself with pace, I was saying to myself, you can slow down a bit, you can slow down a bit. And like, that's a magical place to be, that you're not chasing. We had caught up to the 440 balloons in the Phoenix Park, and then they'd gotten ahead of us again, but we overtook them. I think some of the balloons were walking through the Lucasade station just at halfway, and we overtook them, and we just kept going. And I was kind of going, look, they're going to come back to us. I've no business being ahead of the 440 balloons, but we just kept running consistently. And I really was using the positive mantras. I don't know, did anyone see my Instagram? I had like my arm tattooed on the things I say to myself. And what I'd written on my hand here, I usually write be strong, but I had written lock in. And I kept saying that to myself, like, lock into this pace. This is what we've trained at. Just keep knocking out the kilometers at this pace. You're fine. With 10 miles to go, I said, I've just realized something. I'm going to actually run a marathon today. I know it was my 8th marathon, but I had never before ran a full marathon. I had always had a little walk here or there. And I said, I just knew, I could feel it. No matter if I slow down, I'm not going to need to walk today. I feel great. So yeah, the 5, if anybody wants to do some marathon training, just do some 5K repeats because they work.
Aoife,
Absolutely brilliant.
you say some 5K repeats, but like you were on the podcast back at this, I want to say the start of September, and like August was your highest monthly mileage ever you had done, you said. So the miles and miles you put in with the 5K repeats, and I love that just you knew, okay, 5K, and with the gels coming in and just breaking it down to smaller bits, because it can get overwhelming. Like we've talked before on the podcast, getting that halfway mark, I'm like, what the hell was next? For me, it was kind of zooming on past me pretty soon. But after that, then I was like, I don't know what's going on to near enough Heartbreak Hill, but to have those little breakdowns and stuff you did with all the mileage you'd done, it clearly stood to you.
The first time after I got up that hill at Chapel Lizard, the next time that I went, oh, this is starting to feel like a bit of an effort now. I don't really like it anymore. I looked at my watch and it said 39.48 kilometers. I said, if I've gotten this far in a marathon before, I went, I don't really like it anymore. Like, I'm going to make it. I was delighted. So it was a huge PB for me. And I have, like, my phone was hopping, and some of the girls from the group went, how did you do it? And I know you've been training really hard, but how did you do it? And I kind of went, it's just one of those days. You get one of those runs in a lifetime. And I had it yesterday, and I'm thrilled. It was a 4:35. I could have never dreamed of it.
Knocked 25 minutes off expected time.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, well, yeah, 15 minutes off my PB from last year.
Wow, that is unreal. As
Brilliant.
Connor was doing there with it, I'll go full out
Yeah.
on that one.
Yeah,
Get full
yeah,
cap
yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
well
That
done.
is absolutely
Well done,
brilliant.
Aoife.
Fair
That's why I'm
play,
still
Aoife.
wearing the medal.
It's well deserved. It's Medal Monday. Why not? Why not?
Sleeping in the t-shirt and wearing it for the week. Connor, when you got to the start line, the corral, you were nervous all week. Did you have the sweaty pits even before the race started?
No, so I woke up that morning and I was actually like, right, grand. It was like the nerves had been over and done with. So like
Until you
me,
heard
my
our
girlfriend,
morning
she's like,
episode, or did you block us out?
Mm.
yeah. So I was like, I was just like, right, it's either going to be an awful 3 to 4 hours or could be great. And yeah, so I just lined up at the start. As I said on the last one, I initially was hoping to get with the 3:30 pacers, but I actually few of us jumped into the wave one after wave one set off to go to the Portaloos because there was no queues. And the four stewards, they were trying to stop everyone. There was like a stampede of people. I was like, you're never stopping all of us. Like, we're getting to the toilets and that's that. So I took a bit of a detour, then got in. And when I got to where everyone was dumping their jackets or whatever, I looked in front of me and there was the 350 balloon. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, there's my karma. Like, I couldn't even see the 330 balloon at all. But I was able to wiggle my way up close enough to the front. I think I got ahead of the 340 balloon and then sort of started there. So we took off. I was probably a bit slower than I was obviously hoping to be as you start off, but as you do, like, and then sort of just eased into it. And I was at like, I know it was very early on, but I was like, I can dial this back, like go slower. Cause again, I was like, if I go out too hot here, I'll definitely feel the effects of the no training, but I tried to dial it back a bit, hold that 5 minute pace. There's still sub that. So, I was just like, it's whatever. Like every time it buzzed on the watch, I looked in, it was sub 5. Like as I think your man Fox, he was saying, if you're looking at the watch constantly, like your split or your pace could be up and down depending on just where you're running. So I was just paying attention to every time it buzzed for the 1K, and they're all sub 5. So I was like, right, I'm feeling good here, and keep her lit. So a mistake I made in Barcelona, I didn't stop at the first toilets that I needed to use, and I stopped at the second one. I ended up stuck in a queue, so I was going past them just before, I think, the first water station, and I saw a fella come out one. I dived into it, and then similar enough to Shane, when I came out around the corner and it narrows, there's water on the left. Further up the road, there was water on the right, but everyone on the right was diving over for the left water, and I was like, there's fucking water ahead of you, like someone's getting cleaned out. But like, and then coming into Phoenix Park, actually, I'll give you a laugh. I was running and I seen a group of girls holding an ABC sign, and I was thinking that's Sean's gym or whatever, and they must have caught me looking, and they were like, oh look, there's Any Given Run Day, and I just gave them a thumbs up, and they're all like, hey! I was like, that's the first group of people I've seen that have cheered me on. I was like, thank God I wore the t-shirt. Like, I was like, this is... So yeah, then I went into Phoenix Park, and there was a few people then that I knew or whatever that sort of cheered me on. And then like that, I was just sort of cruising, wasn't going hell for leather up any of the inclines, because I've never done Dublin before. Yesterday, but I know you were saying the second half is sort of easier. So I was like, if I can get through this all right, like second half, although I'll be hurting, it's supposed to be easier, so should be all right. So just sort of cruised along. I was trying to take the racing line where I could, because like I said, I wasn't with any of the pacers, so I was just sort of pacing myself, and I had the pace band on me, but the writing was way too small. Every time I was running, it was just sort of jumping around, so I couldn't even see every time I was passing the mile markers. but I had the 5K markers in Sharpie on my arm, so I was sort of going off of that. And then, like, I don't know about yous, but when it was pissing rain, like my feet were saturated. Like my socks, I could feel the both soles of my feet like
Welch.
starting to wear away. And just, I'm not sure the name of the road or whatever, but that tunnel where you come up and there's a massive hill, I was like, is this the Heartbreak Hill? I was like, I thought that was later in the race. I was like, this hill's fucking massive. It's about 16K in. But it was just before that hill, I whipped out the phone and I rang Neve and I was like, I have a pair of socks for after the race in that bag. I was like, wherever you meet me, find some space. Like, I'm stopping to change my socks, like, or this race is going to be horrendous for me.
What?
So she was at just past the halfway mark and I kept bringing her. Now, I was like, I'd say people look at me like, look at this asshole on the phone running the marathon.
Yeah, can I get 2 bags of chips, curly fries, 4 Cokes?
Yeah. So I was like on the phone and the fella beside me looks at me and I was like, I just like, I'm talking, I'm
Yeah,
not
do you
talking to you, I'm
mind?
talking
I'm on
to
a
someone
phone
on the
call.
phone.
What are you doing?
Controlling boyfriend. Where's
So
where are you now?
Yeah.
You said you'd be back in 3 hours.
Yeah. Who are you talking to?
So yeah, I was on the phone to her and she was like, I'm just past halfway. Now, she'll probably kill me for saying this. Her like sense of direction and stuff isn't very spot on. Like, I saw her once at the 40K mark in Barcelona. So I was like, if I miss her, like my race is ruined if she doesn't have these socks out for me. So I rang her and she's like, I'm just after halfway. So then she said she was in a bus stop and there was space there. And I was like, okay, perfect. Just wait there. So then we were coming up to like whatever mile it was. I don't know, or maybe it was kilometers and it was like 20. And I'm like, does she think this is halfway? I'm not 100% sure. So I kept looking into the bus stops. I was like, right, not there, not there. Next one. Then it was just after the halfway, after the toilets, jumped in and like, I'd say people were looking at me like, oh, he's pulling out or whatever. Stopped in the bus shelter. Just had to change the socks. They weren't even running socks I put on. They were just like fucking Adidas or whatever. I was like, no, I need these on. Put them on and it just completely like, I was like a brand new man. I'd say I was probably stopped for a minute and a half. Brand new man, took off down the road. I was like, but if I hadn't have changed my socks, I'd probably still be running, just crying. Like my feet would have been like Shane's nipples.
All the
And
tips
to
last
give-
week, not one of them was bring your phone in case you need a spare pair of socks
Pair of
halfway
socks.
through,
Yeah,
but it worked.
And let's give credit. She was where she said she was going to be,
Yep.
so we give her credit. She made it to the bus stop
Yeah,
after
exactly, yeah.
halfway. Fair play though to give up as well, because a lot of times you've gone into the toilet, you've changed your socks, you ordered a takeaway Deliveroo. I think Cleena mentioned that on the live. Oh, it wasn't me you were ringing. You got socks delivered. It's good when you have the freedom of, look, I'll do the best I can, but I'm not screwing myself over for the next week or the next whatever just to get across that finish line. So it was good. Obviously, I was going to ask you, Connor, because training hadn't been good. With a new pair of socks, then mentally, you obviously felt like, oh, I can finish this now. This is great.
Yeah, like even like I was feeling good, like physically, and it was just one thing draw like my attention went to my foot, and I was like, oh no, I could just feel it. And as you know, you're sort of coming. I think it was. Don't know if you've seen the video on TikTok where the deers were crossing, sort of that
I
area
saw
coming
that,
down.
yeah.
So like down that hill, like, you know, you're sort of like, I want to make it the most of the hill because it's less effort. But obviously the foot was moving in the shoes, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a tough race if I have to go more than like nearly 3/4 still to go with my socks like this. So I was like, I'll sacrifice whatever time it takes me to change the socks, because if I don't change them, I'll probably lose that times 5. Do you know, that kind of way? Because I'd probably have to stop. So yeah, mentally, like when I put them on, I was like, this is great. And also they told me my goal was to sort of try catch the Pacers if I couldn't catch them, or if I didn't start with them. That way I know I'd be sub 3:30 if I just stuck with them. Just as I was changing them, they're like, you were nearly caught up to the Pacers. I was like, fuck, don't believe it. I was like, how far up the wall? They were like, oh, maybe 2 minutes. I was like, oh, 2 minutes. I've already stopped for about 2 minutes. I was like, I'll never catch them. But I was like, right, I'll just keep her lip. But yeah, no, the changing the socks, best tip out there. If anyone just have someone with spare socks, even carry them on you. Best thing I've ever done.
I know, Eva, we've heard about that for doing the backyard ultras and stuff, but that's when you've got a 15-minute break or whatever, the 10-15 before you go back out again. And I feel like a new man, but I've never heard of it during a marathon. But you know what? Fair play, it worked for you. And Kleena, we haven't got to you yet for your start line building up. When you were taking off, did you know, were you locked in on a time, or was it just sub 4 and you're happy? And how were you feeling before the start of the race?
So I probably overestimated my time from the get-go. Like, I had never ran a marathon before. I didn't know how my body was going to respond to training and stuff like that. So I put down 3:40, I think, when I entered, and that had me in wave 2, but I probably could have been in wave 1. So I was trying to figure out how was I going to, like, I knew if everything went well, I was going to be around 3:20, but no more than Aoife said, everything had to work out on the day. So the first pacers in wave 2 were 3:30. So I was kind of a bit trying to figure out what I was going to do with that. So I figured I did the old, bust your way to the top of the queue of a nightclub kind of a job. I was really ignorant. Like, I don't jump queues or anything like that. Well, I jumped the queue on Sunday.
Elbows
I was
out.
like, sorry, excuse me. Oh, all sides. Like, I was pure ignorant. And I'm really sorry if anybody's listening to this. That was me. I'm really sorry. But I knew that most people running in wave 2 were going to be slower than what I was going to start out at. And I just didn't want to be trying to I'm like, in one of the podcasts you were talking about, like, trying to run with the crowd and not be trying to duck and dive and get around everybody when you're running, because you're using up so much extra energy. So I did manage to get myself up to about kind of the 4th or the 5th row from the start. So I was kind of happy with that then, and took off just ahead of the 3:30 pacers. And obviously there was more than me in that wave that was running at that pace as well, because there was a nice few kind of off the front. So probably having listened to so many of the podcast stuff and listening to last year's podcasts talking about the route and all that, just like Connor was saying, I knew I needed to be careful in the first half. But lads, the Phoenix Park nearly killed me. Jesus. I just thought it would never end.
It is a
oh my
sneaky hill.
God. And the headwind.
It is sneaky.
And the headwind.
The headwind, yeah.
So
That was
I
probably the
literally,
toughest year I've done it at a Phoenix Park.
really,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think just because I've done it before in the rain and all the rest, but just the wind hitting the way the wind hit that day, it just seemed a little, I don't want to say quieter, but a little bit more dispersed and stuff than usual when I was there, even though it was the busiest marathon it was. And just one thing I kept hearing throughout the course was, geez, thank God I got through the park. I think it's
Yeah.
one part early where people really, really struggled with.
Yeah, definitely. Now, coming from a cycling background, like, from a very early age, you're taught to draft. So I'm the queen of drafting. Like, I'll nip in behind. I'll find a wind tunnel anywhere. So I was literally hopping from person to person. But I think a lot of people were running quite quickly at that point. So I was lucky enough. I did have shelter a lot of the way through the park. But it is a fair old climb to what's the top, the high. Isn't that the highest point? When you come out of the Phoenix Park
Yeah.
and you climb that last bit. So that was, and then coming down was lovely. Coming down out of that in the Phoenix Park the second time, that was a really nice, and there was one or two, I think at that point you start to become aware of the 2 or 3 people around you that seem to be running a similar pace. You're kind of up and down on a few of them. It's like you pass someone out and all of a sudden they're by you again. So you're there was 2 or 3 kind of had just a couple of words here and there. So that was pretty cool. Now, I haven't a clue where I ran. Like, I recognized a few different parts. Where did I see you, Sean? What stage was that?
You saw me, I think it was around 20k mark. You'd seen me, or just
That's
before,
around
just after
Crumlin.
halfway. I think I just met Neve, so maybe, yeah, around Crumlin, a little bit past Dolphins Barn there. And you look so comfortable. You were flying it. I was like,
That was so funny. So I heard
Gone.
that girl Neve talking, and I was like, I know her voice, because I'm from her podcast that you did with her, because she's such a distinct voice. And then I was going, what the fuck are you doing close to her?
oh, don't
I was
say that.
checking my
Give her a
watch.
compliment.
I was looking at my watch going, how are you near her? There's something seriously going wrong. But so that was kind of cool when I saw you. I was coming up and I was going, because you had the wife beater, didn't you? And I was going, that has to be Sean. That has to be Sean with the shoulders out.
Yes, Cleaner. I love it.
It
Mr.
looks
Muscle
good.
with the guns out. Get out of here.
But the one thing going well for me, yeah, but like you passed me, I didn't even see you. I just heard, did you take off too fast, did you? And I'm like, if someone says that to me one more time, I got dog's abuse to that. And then like, I'd say at least 10 times I was telling me on the track. And then when I saw it, I was like, I kind of did. And I knew at that stage, I was like, oh, I'm in for a long one. So I was like, yep, we'll see how it goes from there. But you were just gone. You were coming from like, I was like 4 hours on my arse. She's by the time
Well,
she
look,
caught up with me, I was doing the maths in my head, which kept me occupied.
It's great. Yeah. No, I knew I was going to go well, and I knew if I ran the first 10K kind of below my target pace and like the same as Connor, mix tip on the watch, I just kept checking the average pace. So even if I was drifting out, my watch was only a second or two faster on the average pace. So for the run so far, like that was brilliant, and it just took all the stress away really of wondering how I was doing. And I think once I got to, coming up by Crumlin, I was coming along, and all of a sudden, because I would have ran around Crumlin a lot last year when Roisin was in hospital, so all of a sudden I'm going, hang on a minute, like I know where I am, and because I spotted the pubs and stuff like that. That was actually a windy spot as well. That was a dirty enough spot coming up there because there's a drag up to the hospital. So it's kind of nice when you're a redneck and you see something you recognize, because it's like, okay, I kind of have my bearings now again, do you know? So that was kind of a tough enough section. And I know from listening to the podcast, people talking about it being hard, the kind of, is it mile 13 to mile 20? So from the half kind of till you're 10K out. So I was lucky. I had my dad and his wife, so they were at Christchurch for the first mile, and then they told me they were going to be around Dartry and Milford that stage. So in my head, the kids, knowing I was going to see the kids again at mile 19 was brilliant, because I just seemed to be running comfortably. I wasn't really checking my watch. I was kind of just running on how I felt, and it was kind of fairly consistent, bar the ups, and not running into the hills, not killing myself on the hills. So definitely having the kids at mile 19 got me that far. And then I was like, when you get to kind of mile 20, then it's only a 10K. So like, don't people sometimes say it's a 10, 10, 20, 10 miles, and 10K. Yeah. So like that's my loop that I run around here all the time, the 10K. So I kind of was waiting to get hit by, the way everybody talks about having these moments in a marathon where you start to dip and you have to really be tough on yourself. I was kind of waiting for it, and it wasn't really hitting. Like Terranure was class. The roaring and screaming is in Terranure. Orwell Road, is it around there? Like they were unreal, those spots, just for support.
Yeah,
like,
it's
and
phenomenal.
even that around Milford, there was a cheer zone. Like it was just crazy. People's energy was nuts. And all the little kids with their hands out, I was giving high fives all over the place. And then I was like, come on, stick to pace. Stick to pace. Get the little hands out. Oh, they're there for hours probably.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty cool. Like that's amazing, the support and people's energy on the sideline. Do you know when you go under the flyover or under one of the bridges, it's before Inchicore, and you're going in under a road, and there was about 5 people under in one of those, and they had a stereo in there, or they had a speaker. It sounded like there was a full-on rave inside in there. They were nuts. Oh my God, talk about a buzz. I came up out of it, and it was like, I don't want to run anymore. I want to hang out here. The crack was brilliant. Like, it was cool. That was really, it is amazing. Everybody says it's amazing, and it is.
Yeah.
Like, that was class.
Isn't it mad the lift you get from seeing people in the course, that buzz? Like, I don't know if it's because like you say, if you have your mantras and stuff like that, it's almost like that in-person mantra where you just get that, like, any niggles and pains in your ankles or feet or everything that, when you see those people, you just gives you a lift. And sometimes I check the watch 3 seconds later, be like, going too fast, slow it down again, because it's just a adrenaline rush. It's class.
When you see people you don't expect to see, people that you just know from other parts of your life, and all of a sudden they see you and you see them, and it's like, oh my God, it's cool.
And you have that 5-second window to remember their name just in time to shout it out to them, and trying to remember where you know them from. That's the worst part. How are you? And then I'm like 20 meters down the road, the back is definitely turned. I'm like, that was Jimmy. Jimmy. I'm like, they definitely knew I remember the name.
And just before we move into second half, Sean, you had a good few people shouting out to you and recognizing I'm going to say the t-shirt. It wasn't the arms hanging out anyway, but
It was
I'm going to say they
definitely
recognized the
arms.
t-shirt.
I could outrun
Uh,
no one, but I outgunned most of them.
How was the support that you picked up this year, Sean?
So it was great seeing so many people on the course. So like I said, I had so much time at the start. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I got to see a few people there. Shane, who we know down in Cork, Eric, I was talking to him for a little bit about the day before and all the rest. And he just goes, Sean, we're here, enjoy it. And that's just my attitude of the whole thing. It was like, I knew I hadn't got the training. I wasn't ready for it. But sure, look, we'll trot on. When the wheels fall off, the wheels fall off. So I started in wave one. And I'd say I was no sooner of Christchurch. I didn't even know what part of the wave I was in. I looked up and there was a 310 balloon. And as I saw, I heard a few, Shawnee, what the fuck you doing up here? Like, there's a load of lads from Swords Running Club. I was like, I don't know, but I swear to you lads, I'm doing this right. So I started at a 5:25, 5:30 pace and then just, I was getting that for the first, I'd say 3-4 mile was just, what are you doing here? I was like, lads, I know I'm bad, but for fuck's sake. But I will say, I did get cut off. I'm going to give a bad shout out now in a second because you guys talked about that first water station. When you come through Stony Bar, I want to say it was the Pastry Pace Running Club. They had a great setup, the tents and stuff and the music, but it was so close to the water station that when I was like, deadly, that's good buzz going through there. And I was like, oh shit, the water's gone left. And then I saw it over the right and I was over the left-hand side like, oh shit, the water's gone. So it was the first time I ever missed the water station at the very start. And I'm like, out of all the years to get to that water station, I really desperately needed at that stage. Where's the next one? I was like, it's not to Phoenix Park. And then, like you said, Cleena, it was a big drag through the park. And then I got to see the ABC crew then there halfway. That was pretty cool. And just seeing different faces throughout. Way too many people to mention, to be honest with you. But like it was cool getting different shout outs to the podcast and stuff like that. So the great thing I will say about starting wave one, and I'll never recommend this to anyone, because the podcast, which was great, but ego wise it wasn't, everyone passed me. Like everyone passed me. Like I was just trying. I got to halfway at the 2 hour mark, and I knew at 30K, I'm like, right, Sean, is sub 4 really on, or are you gonna do something silly to yourself? Like it's not on. So I started dropping the pace from there. But like I say, I got passed by 10,000-15,000 people. I didn't care. Like people come on the podcast and like this is great exposure and advertising for the podcast. It's like having a billboard on me. But
yeah, you were just following my instructions for commercial gain, Sean. You're dead right.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, we're dead right. Very good. Shane, to bring it back then to your final, because you were going for the sub 3, you had red rivers running down your lovely Sligo AC t-shirt. How was the final 10K?
Yeah, it was tough, I suppose. At about 30K, I started tailing off the back of the pacers, and I hadn't really looked at the watch a lot up to that point. It's kind of running by effort and gauging where I was from the pacers. And then, like, when I started falling off the back of the group, I started looking at the watch to see what I was running. So I was kind of like sub 3 paces, 4:15s, and I was kind of going to 4:18s, 4:19s. And then, like, there you kind of left with a decision. Do you double down and try and continue to go with the group, or like nearly break yourself, or do you pull it back? And I tried my best to stick with the group, but I said, like, it's not going to happen. You're just going to have to pull back. I didn't really want to pull back, but I don't know, my body just fucking forced me to pull back, unfortunately. And then at 35K, one of my club mates came up by me, and it's like, he never said anything to me coming up by me. He tried to fucking sneak past me, the fecker. To beat me, like, and geez, I seen him, and I latched onto the back of him anyway, and yeah, it gave me a good lift, and yeah, I finished a lot stronger, and I was like, where was all this energy for the last 10K? And like, I finished kind of strong in the last 2K and held on for a course PB, like 3:07:06. It's not too bad. So like, put some perspective
Shane.
on it, like, 2 years ago when I made my first breakthrough in the marathon, like I ran 3:07:49, and like yesterday I ran 40 seconds quicker for Dublin. It's like, just put some perspective on it. Shows how far I've come. Like, when I'm running a 40-second PB for the course, like, I'm disappointed, so I still have to be kind of happy. Like,
And you kept pushing that stage. So I know that feeling of when, like, back when I was going for a sub 4 hour and that balloon, and it almost seems like they're going faster and everyone seems strong in that pace group and it just drifts away from you. And the thoughts start crossing your mind, it's not my day. I'm after telling people I'm going to do this. And, is that hamstring really that bad? They're going to pull out of this race here and just say, I got injured and all the rest. Like, in those moments to keep on going, like, fair play. And that's a phenomenal time still, what you did. So, good work.
Oh yeah, sure. Like, yeah, like 35K, like everyone's like, never again, never again. Like,
Yeah.
everyone says it, and I was like, oh my god, never again. And like when you cross finish line, no, sure, fuck it, I'm gonna try and do it again. Like,
And Shane, like a lot of people will only talk about the positives on that carpet. A little bit of disappointment, but how did you feel overall? And is there the want for more?
I was, to be honest, I was even disappointed. Like, I was disappointed that I didn't break 3 hours, but like, the journey's been unbelievable. Like, the amount of people I've met along the way, like, I swear to God, I must have 20 or 30 messages yesterday from people I didn't even know. It was unbelievable. Like, yeah, I'm definitely going to go for a spring marathon and try again. Like, I'm disappointed, but I'm going to keep trying until I break it. I'm not going to stop until I break it.
Eric, do you know of any spring marathons coming up next year?
If only we had a
there's your
Barcelona
chance.
trip coming up, Shane.
It's a bit
if
early though.
only,
March
if
is a bit
only.
early.
It's all right. Fast course. You might break 3 hours, but sure, look, you didn't try. Anyway, oh no, well done, Shane. What a phenomenal run. And to be honest, I love seeing how honest you are about it. And again, the exposure through the podcast, because sometimes it just doesn't work out, but the attitude to try again and to still smile, because it's still a marathon. It's still 42K, a course record for you, and a good day out. And as you said, a lot of people, we talk about enjoy the day, which sometimes can lead to disappointment. But at the same time, as you mentioned, it's all about the journey, the people you meet, the community around you. And that's been so important in so many people's lives. Connor, you were represented the Cuppa cardio section. You changed your socks and jocks. You ordered takeaway. You done everything through halfway. Your final 10K, how was it?
Yeah, like I was like cleaning there, kids hands out. I was high fiving everyone, tapping them posters for extra boost. Like, I'd swear they were. But yeah, no, I was actually feeling great. Like, I was running and I was sort of thinking to myself, like, for most of the half, I was like, now we're only getting started. And then obviously swapped the swapped the socks and all that crack. And then I was just sort of powering on, and I was like, I'm still feeling great. Like, I did like no niggles, and I was like, thank God. Like, this is, I know they're eventually going to come, but I was like, this is great, because I was thinking back to like Barcelona, like when I was way more trained, I was definitely hurting way earlier. And maybe it's to do with how I feel the days previous. Probably done me good, but yeah, no, I was feeling good. And coming up to that Heartbreak Hill, lads, that is the most overrated hill ever.
Yeah,
I
know,
was
yeah.
like,
It's
shit me.
the least. It's probably the least hill in the course.
Yes, I was like, if that was like the hardest part of the next whatever 6K, I think it's around the 36K mark. Like, if I've got 6 more K to go and that was it behind me, like I was like, right, let's keep going, let's push on. And now I won't lie, overrated hill, but just after that, that's when I started feeling a bit of hurt. So it did have some sort of effect on me.
Came back to smack you.
But like, yeah, but no, in terms of like hitting a wall or like really hurting, like, questioning your decision, like, why the fuck did I do this? Didn't really cross my mind at all. I was just sort of running. Then I was just fueling, cheering people on at most stages. Like, when I was running through some of the crowds, like they were starting to get a bit quieter, I was like fucking getting the crowd going and everything. I was like, I'm just here to enjoy this. I was looking down at my arm, then I was like, I'm still on target for sub 3:30 here, which, like, I was like, I mightn't PB it, but I was like, there's a possibility. I was still on for sub 3:30. I was like, I don't deserve a sub 3:30 at all, but I was like, let's keep pushing. And again, then around maybe the 48K, 38K mark, sorry, there was a couple of people from Cuppa, and then Neve and Megan were also there as well, further beyond. So I got a bit of a cheer from him that powered me on a bit more. Then there was more people shouting out the podcast. I was like, thank God I wore this t-shirt because there'd be no one cheering me on. So that worked well. And then I sort of met the girls. It was all along that Irish Life Mile or whatever.
Mm.
And then obviously turned in for the crowd, and there was just even more crowds. And I was like, right, we're near the end. One thing I will say though, 500 meters to go. I swear I ran 500 meters. Then I turned the corner and it says 300 meters to go.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
is Patrick?
it's horrible.
I was like, I'm nearly laying it all out there, and I turned the corner and there's another fucking 500 meters to go. But yeah, at that point I was running, and I could hear someone shout my name, and I was like, turned to look, and there's this crowd of people, and I was like, no idea who that is. I was like, yeah, woo. Kept running. I was like, still right now. So if anyone's listening to this podcast, if that was you, let me know, because I haven't a clue who it was. But yeah, crossed the line, and I got the buzz on the watch from the tracker, and it gave me my official time. It was 3:29:43, whereas my PB is
yes.
3:29:11, and I was sort of like, oh, so fucking close. But I was also like,
If you didn't stop to
still
change your socks
3:30
now.
minutes to go.
jeez.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
If I didn't order that pizza, if I didn't
clapping
change
the
my
hands and
fucking
everything, being a
socks,
celebrity, you should have just
reapply
kept
me
going.
makeup, if I didn't do my eyebrows at the 30k mark, come on, Connor.
Come
you
on,
went
Connor.
to the Jacks,
Yeah.
ordered a takeaway, changed your socks, and you still done it. So in essence, it is a
It's more
PB.
impressive.
Yeah, I don't want to claim like, oh, I could have done this because I haven't done it yet. But
Yep.
like, again, if I didn't change them socks, I probably could have even went even longer because my feet would have been a different story. Like, it would have been a different ball game. But like, at the end of the day, when I did cross, I was like, right, I did take 2 piss stops and I changed my socks like halfway. Like, so you can't really expect to be PBing it and, as you said, ordering the takeaway and everything else in between. So
But anything, it's a game of confidence, and to know that it's there, and to know that it's a possibility, and some more maybe, you know. And it's fantastic that you can get to that carpet and those final kilometers and go, yeah, do you know what? Maybe with a little bit of extra, I can probably push pace a little bit more, and you know, as you say, getting through a point and you get to 36, 37k, and you're like, this hasn't slapped me quite as much as I thought it was going to. Like that in itself is great for confidence. So huge well done. We're going to be selling the t-shirts now before next year's marathon for the extra turbo ego boost as well. Thanks for the sales, Conor. We appreciate it. But it's fantastic to see people even supporting and it was great to say. Aoife, the smiliest person to ever run a marathon, the final 10k. I know you already said you did a PB, but we need to know. We need to know, at what point did you do the maths? Because everybody, when they hit 35k, they're like, the abacus comes out and it's like, I think we could run a 4 something or other. When did that start to happen for you?
Yeah, I was so I was running really consistently. Last 10k was my fastest 10k of the day, so things were going well. But I was kind
Way
of
to
keeping
show
my,
off, Aoife.
Yeah.
Negative split Dublin.
join our training group.
J&N coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. But I had the fingers out and I was like, even if I slow, because I know like if you stay under 7-minute kilometers, you're going to get in sub 5. So I was like, even if all goes to hell and I'm down to 7, I'm still going to get sub 4:40 at this stage. The balloons hadn't caught us. And at one stage we heard, you hear the crowd cheering, and we heard, here come the 4:40 balloons. So we thought they were going to swallow us up. And even that would have been still amazing, but they never caught us. So I knew like things were going well. And when I hit 5k to go, I had an hour to get sub 5. So I was like, could crawl in at this stage and we're going to get sub 5. So yeah, I was doing the maths, but I really, things were just going so well, I didn't care. I knew I was going to have a PB, and I knew I couldn't do any more, just keep running. And like that, a lot of people in that Irish Life Mile, people I did expect to see and didn't expect to see, started cropping up. I met Shane, his mom, met a colleague from work who I wasn't expecting to see, I know a friend from college, and then loads of people from the training group, people who'd come up to support, and people who had finished earlier and were out on the course, back out in the course cheering. So like that gave me a huge boost to get in the last as Connor said, 500 meters, and then it was 300 meters, and then it felt like it was going on forever. I did say when I went around that final bend, I was like, oh, I've started like my sprint too soon here, and just hang on and get to that finish line. But yeah, it was a great end to a great day.
What was the feeling, Aoife, on that carpet to realise then when because let's be honest, the maths is there, but the maths does, as you correctly said, just like it's always if my shoe falls off and if I collapse, I can still make X. But when you crossed and you got the stop the watch and you realise what has happened, how was
Yeah,
it? Did you
my
cry? Did you cry,
I
Aoife?
didn't cry. No, I just I was like, yeah. But I thought my maths was giving me best case scenario 4:37, which was like, I think I was just so mind blown. I was like, what happened? How did that happen? It was just unbelievable. So when I saw 4:35 on the watch, I couldn't believe it. And then we went on another bit, and there was people from the group who were just finished and at the bag drop. So we kind of stayed around the bag drop for about an hour waiting for other people to come in. We had gotten our phones back out of the bags, and we're still tracking people coming in just behind us. So we got the group back together and took some photos and just soaked it all in, and we're literally soaking in the rain as well. But it was a good feeling.
Cleana, the last and left last for a reason, because this was your first. The final 10K and the last 5K after UCD can feel like Groundhog Day. It feels like every corner was the same as the last corner. Every street looks the same as the last street, and every 500 meters is a mile. So how was that last 10K for you?
It was okay because I had saved. Somebody said to me along the way that sometimes you can dedicate a mile to people, and that can help you, or a kilometer, whatever it is, just to get you through. So I hadn't gotten into any trouble along the way. So I had saved. In my head, I knew I had certain things. I was so for mile 20. This is going to sound really corny now, but I gave each of the kids a mile. So like they had their own mile each. So mile 21, mile 22, mile 23, they were the kids. Mile 24 was the kids in St. John's in Crumlin, because we've spent so much time in there, and those kids would just give their right arm to be out running in the rain, on the streets of Dublin without anyone holding on to them. So like things like that definitely keep you going. So that was mile 24. One of my friends here lost her husband very shortly after mine. So she was mile 24. My husband, who passed away, got mile 25. And somebody said to me along the way as well, save the last mile 26 till the end is for you. Just keep that for yourself. So that was that last part. And that was lovely. That was really nice. So it was funny coming to the kids at mile 9, around 19 or 20. I started to get very, very emotional because I started thinking about my husband. And it was mad. It just kind of it hit me like a bolt out of the blue. And that wave of emotion you get where it takes your breath away? I was like going, not fucking now. Not now. I could do like laughing going, fuck off. Not right now, dear. Because I couldn't catch my breath. I was like, and I was like, just manage it, manage it, manage it, manage it. And I think it was because I was coming towards the kids, and I suppose having been on the journey with Roisin and still being on the journey with her, I suppose it was starting to hit me, and I was like, I can't now, that now isn't the time for this. So I kind of like, you can come back to me in mile 25. Like mile 25 was for you. So look, I did manage to get myself under control. And there was 2 or 3 other little blips along the way where I could feel that emotion coming again. But I thankfully I was able to kind of focus on the other miles that I had said I'd give to other people. And that seemed to get me through it. So like my daughter would have had this really horrible side effect from chemo where it burnt the skin on her esophagus basically. So she would have been ulcerated all the way down, and she couldn't eat. So that was her mile, and that got me through the hard stuff there. So they got me through all of the last 6 miles. So at any stage that I was struggling, it was just think of them, and then the next mile went to someone else. So that was me for the last 10K or 6 miles. So it really helped.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
I know now. Make a joke now, Eric. Make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, Eric. Say something funny, Eric. Go
Say
on.
something funny
No,
now.
it doesn't have to be
Go on,
funny.
say something
I always
funny.
have something. I'm going to try my clean and quiet. You also celebrated your wedding anniversary, was it? It was the 20th wedding
Yeah.
anniversary. Did I see that in the build-up?
Yeah.
Come on,
So
Clean,
last
start crying.
Wednesday.
No,
No. The tears are all done. But last Wednesday was my was my would have been our 20th wedding anniversary. All right, so it kind of all came together. In some ways, it was nice, and actually, we had stayed in the schoolhouse in Balbriggan years ago when I was pregnant. With one of my with my first daughter, so it was kind of it kind of all tied together nicely. You can like you can use emotion and you can use the things that have happened to you in a way that can drive you on. And I seem to be able to do that. So it all helped, I think. It drove me on. I had a lot to run for, I suppose, as you'd say, Eric.
Yeah, and Aoife was running from balloons, and Connor, I don't know what Connor was doing, but it was a good show. But
Chasing
Cliona,
a Deliveroo.
to talk about it, chasing the Deliveroo driver. But Cliona, to put a touch on it, the final couple of 100 meters, as you said, and I think such a magical way to do it. It is for you, and there is a lot of emotion. And when you can finally see the clock and you go, right, that actually was the last corner, that last 100 meters and crossing and stopping to watch, how was that feeling for you completing your first marathon?
It was cool. I mean, it's class that the number, like how many supporters are there screaming and roaring. It's fabulous. But I got really confused with the clocks because like there's so many. There's the different waves have their own clocks, and like I was going, what fucking time is my watch right? I was looking at. I just got all confused because I started looking at the wave one time and I was going, but anyway, yeah, I eventually figured out. So that was kind of nice, and I did get hit then just after coming over the line with a big bolt. A big bolt of emotion came, but it was just so cold too. Like it was just a case of keep moving. I was frozen at this point. Really, yeah, it was really, really cold. So I was kind of, I wasn't overcome. Like the emotion came in a nice way. It hit, and it was kind of a pat in the back. Thanks, and you got me through it. And then it was a case of find my clothes. But I will give you a laugh, right? So this is probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. I was so cold. I knew I had to get the sports bra off because there's nothing worse. It's just I was frozen. So I got my gear, and there's nowhere to change, obviously, and I don't fucking know where I am. Like there's barriers everywhere. It's like I'm in a derelict building site. I don't know where to go to get changed, and I'm cold. So I said, right, I just have to do this. So up against these barriers, I kind of threw my jacket on, and I'm trying to get the vest off, and I get the vest off, and then I'm trying to take the sports bra off, but the jacket starts sliding. So I'm pulling it, and there's two girls on the other side. And they're going, do you want a hand there? And I was like, you're not going to get your fucking hand through the barriers, but thanks a million. So they said, we'll give you a bit of privacy. And they move off down the side. And then I couldn't get the sports bra off. So I'm still trying to hold the jacket on. So I get it up one side and one boob pops out. And then I get stuck, my hand. Then I get a cramp and I can't, my hand is stuck. I can't pull the hand around. Oh my God. And then I look up and I realise they're not derelict buildings. They're fucking apartments and there's people in the one up there. What if there's people in the one I'm facing at? And then I went, I don't fucking care. These guys are never going to see me again. And I was like, eventually got the sports bra off. And your man, so I was beside this little electricity box kind of a thing. And then there's a guy beside me and he's managed to completely fully change in the whole time it's taken me to get the sports bra off. He's jeans, dressed. He's like a lad who's heading out to a nightclub. And there I am trying to get this fucking dirty sports bra off. And then I was looking at my bottoms and I was going, shorts. I was like going, underwear, no way. Just no way. So I got all my warm clothes on. I got my bag on my back. But I lost all decency there at the time. Mortified.
Yeah. They all say you leave a little piece of you at the marathon. You left a piece of your dignity anyway, Cliona. That's most important. But it's been so good, guys. It's been fantastic hearing your stories. And I suppose so many people have reached out to us about how great it was to have you guys and be part of your journey. And each of you had a journey. You all had individual moments, but we journeyed on it together. And so many people listening at home held on to little glimpses of everyone because similar people were in similar boats and taking great inspiration for you to work away around the houses again. How has the whole experience been? Have you any last minute sign-offs for the last of the Fantastic Four for 2025? We'll start with Shane, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I just guess say thank you to my coach Kevin English. I think he's taken me to a new level this year, but I don't think I've got the races right yet, but it's coming. Thanks to my nutritionist Alana and my physio Jason, And just a big shout out to Sligo Running Club, and thank you to Sean and Eric. So I've really enjoyed this. So thank you for everything.
Hold that thanks, Shane, because Kevin is coming on the podcast pretty soon, and there might be a little bit about you and that. Shane,
We've already recorded it, Shane, and we know you abused it. Connor, any last sign-offs? And again, a great participant this year, and with a few ups and downs along the way.
Yeah, like I don't have half as many thanks as Shane. I'd like to thank my Garmin, Deliveroo, and honestly, anyone who's supported the podcast, obviously the two of you for giving me the opportunity to come on here and even sort of motivating me more. Because there's probably times there, like if I wasn't on this podcast, I would have been pulling out given the injuries and stuff like that. So massive thank you to the two of yous, and obviously Shane, Kleena and Aoife for all the little messages and your inspiring stories as well. So thank you to all of you, and obviously anyone listening, and Cup Cardio. Thank you very much.
Aoife.
Yeah, I think I look back on my messages to my coach, John, yesterday, and I had sent him a message in June saying, look, I'm not really feeling the training season coming up, and look, we'll get through it and it'll be fine and blah, blah, blah. I'll get round Dublin. And then I think about 3 days later, he emailed me to say, will you come on the podcast? And I went, right, what was I thinking when I sent you in that form? But it gave me a new lease of life, and like it was my 8th marathon and things, my 4th Dublin, and things were starting to get a bit stale, a bit facing into a new training block. So like having this opportunity was brilliant for the motivation. And then just to John Last and Niall O'Sullivan, my coaches in J&N training, like they've been unbelievable. And they had people yesterday, Pavel in our group ran 2:38, right down to people who were over 5 hours, and they gave the same dedication to every single one of us. There was 49 of us ran the marathon yesterday, and like there was loads and loads of PBs. So just thanks a million to them and to all the people in the group who trained with me and came on the runs and did the 5K repeats. It's been brilliant. And thanks to Kleena and Connor and Shane and you as well, because it's made it a Dublin to remember for sure.
Excellent. And Kleena, the final say.
Yeah, look, guys, this has been, I suppose I run on my own. Everything I do is on my own. So it's been great to have a group to kind of tie in with and to check in and have the crack with, because my kids get bored listening to me talking about running all the time. So this has been, my kids, actually big thanks for my kids, because it took all this crap out of their head. So that was definitely a positive. But yeah, it really has been great. And even just to document it for us, for again, and for the kids to see that, that you can go out on a limb and bare your soul, and like sometimes it works and like sometimes it doesn't, but that's just part and parcel, and you kind of just deal with it and move on. So it's been a really, really great opportunity to be part of something with a group. That's been fantastic. And I guess like the others, thankfully my coach is brilliant. He predicted I'd run almost to the minute mile pace that I ran yesterday. So he's been class, and being part of his running group has kind of, while I'm on my own in Up the Road, I'm not on my own, because they're at the end of the phone if there's, if you want to bounce something off somebody or stuff like that. So that's been great. And it's kind of funny because I kind of feel like I've made new friends. Like this has been great crack. Like Connor, you and me definitely got the giggles there at one point in that. Like I couldn't hold myself together. Do you know that silly? It was like being in school when you're not supposed to be laughing. Like it's just been really, really fun. It really has. It's been great crack. Shane, it was when Eric went back to you. We weren't laughing at you. We were laughing at Eric talking about the blood rivers running down the front of your white singlet. So yeah, it's just been really fun, and that's what running is supposed to be, and that's what exercise and being part of things can do for you. You can have fun as well as the hardship. So thanks a million for that and for the opportunity to you guys, and best of luck in the future. You've kind of started something good here now, so keep her lit.
Kleena's not going to take it well when I ghost her next week and stop talking to her, Sean, is she?
No, she definitely isn't.
I
the
always
next
have
event.
one more joke left. Don't you worry, Connor. But it's been fantastic to have you guys. And again, a big thank you again. I pass on my thanks from everyone who has been listening and singing your praises. We can't wait to see what the future holds for you all. More PBs, we have no doubt. You might even come on one of our marathon trips, Connor. Who knows? It's been fantastic having you. I'm gonna let Sean sign off and do his usual sign off as best he can with his hangover.
I can't do a great sign off, guys, but I will say that thank you very much for coming to the podcast. It is not easy to share your story, even though I do it every week and make a fool of myself on my journey, because if this episode, the review episode alone, was just me and Eric talking, it would not have been good. So thank you for that. But no, seriously, thank you for the last 16 weeks of stuff, and it has made it easily the most fun I've had into a marathon build, with the exception of the lack of running. This whole journey has been really, really cool. So delighted to have you guys on. And with that said, we got to get this one edited out pretty soon. So I'm going to wrap it up here from myself, Shane, Cleena, Aoife, Connor, and I suppose Eric. That's it from the six of us. Take care.